We start off in the Caribbean, where a family is enjoying a dream vacation on their yacht. The mom, Julia, hops in for a swim, but while she's trying to relax, she feels something weird. She can't see anything in the water, so she chalks it up to her imagination. But seconds later, that creepy feeling comes back. Now she's officially spooked and tries to head back to the boat. Suddenly, something yanks her leg and she starts screaming for help. Her daughter, Cassie, is zoned out with headphones on, and her husband, Tom, and son, Ben, are too busy fishing to notice. Julia's struggling to stay afloat, and things are looking grim as she starts swallowing water. Finally, Tom realizes Julia's been gone too long. He scans the water and spots her in deep trouble. He maneuvers the yacht closer and dives in, grabbing her just in time. He gets her back to the boat, and the kids help them climb aboard. Julia is shaken but blames the whole thing on a strong current. That night, they celebrate Ben's birthday with cake and gifts. Cassie steps outside to FaceTime her boyfriend, but he shows her something terrifying, massive dark clouds swallowing the city. Before he can explain, the call glitches out.
Cassie runs to tell the family, but Tom thinks it's just a bad signal since they're out at sea. Just then, they hear a noise and see a pod of whales passing by. Tom explains that whales follow the Earth's magnetic field, but storms can mess with their internal GPS, sending them toward the coast instead. Suddenly, the yacht takes a massive hit, knocking Ben over. Worried about the hull, Tom dives down to check for damage. He resurfaces with a nasty gash on his shoulder. While Julia stitches him up, Tom admits he felt something huge in the water, and when he turned, he got sliced by the propeller. Whatever was down there was massive, but he couldn't see it. More importantly, the yacht is trashed and they're officially stranded. Julia tries the radio and Cassie hunts for a signal, but they get nothing. Suddenly, a creature jumps out at Cassie, but it's just Ben being a brat in a mask. Eventually, the yacht dies completely. Tom says they've got 4 days of food and water, so they just have to pray a fishing boat passes by.
Suddenly, the radar pings. The family runs outside and watches in horror as meteorites rain down from the sky, crashing into the ocean nearby. Tom tries to gun the engine as the world turns into a war zone. As they huddle in fear, Tom realizes those aren't meteors, they're satellites falling out of orbit. Smoke starts pouring out of the yacht. The engine is fried. The wind picks up, and inside, the compass starts spinning like crazy. The yacht is getting tossed around by massive waves. Ben gets hurt again, and Tom has to fight the wind to get life jackets for everyone. The power cuts out, and just as Tom gets the lights back on, they notice Julia's nose is bleeding. Julia's getting dizzy, Cassie's puking, and the radio is dead. A deafening, high-pitched noise rings out as the storm intensifies. Julia tries to hold the door shut, but a hatch blows open. Windows start shattering. Tom lights a flare just as total darkness takes over. The next morning, the family wakes up to a total nightmare. They survived, but the yacht is a wreck. They step outside and realize the impossible. The entire ocean has vanished. The yacht is sitting in the middle of a vast, dry desert. While they struggle to process this, Tom checks the compass and realizes the Earth's poles have reversed, something that hasn't happened in 700,000 years. Cassie has a total meltdown, realizing her boyfriend is likely gone, and she pushes her mom away when she tries to help. While the parents scavenge for supplies, Ben ties his birthday balloons to a rock, hoping someone will see them. Finally, Tom makes radio contact with a man named Now, a submarine captain. His sub is also high and dry. Now confirms the pole reversal caused the oceans to retreat, swallowing the mainlands elsewhere. He says most people are likely dead. He predicts the poles will flip back in about a week, and the water will return with a vengeance. He tells them to get to high ground or get to his sub, which has room for 3 more people. Julia and Tom decide the kids come first. Now gives them his coordinates. It's a 3-day trek to the sub. The next morning, as they're packing, a creepy guy with a harpoon and a barking dog shows up. Tom tries to be nice and gives the guy water, but the stranger suddenly snaps. He smashes Tom with the bottle and kicks him. Before Julia can react, the psycho stabs Tom in the gut with the harpoon and slits his throat. The guy then goes after Julia. She manages to dodge his harpoon and runs back to the yacht to hide the kids. She stuffs the kids inside a sofa and gives them a flare gun while she hides in the bathroom with a knife. The man bursts in, loots their food, and starts hunting for them. Julia manages to sneak out through a hole in the hull. She tries to run, but the dog spots her and attacks. She's forced to kill the dog to survive. The guy finds his dead dog and loses his mind. Meanwhile, Julia climbs back onto the yacht to reach the kids. But the guy catches her and starts brutally beating her, dragging her by the hair and choking her on the sofa. Cassie can't watch her mom die. She pops out and blasts the guy with the flare gun. 6:10, the yacht catches fire. Julia kicks the guy one last time, grabs the map and bags, and they run. 6:19, they say a tearful goodbye to Tom's body just as the psycho stumbles out of the burning boat. Seconds later, the yacht explodes. 6:27, later, they rest at a waterfall. Cassie worries the balloons led the killer to them, but Julia tells Ben it's not his fault. They have to keep moving because the guy is still on their trail. 6:40, they pass a dead hammerhead shark and realize they're walking through a graveyard. Julia spots the man closing in again, so they bolt. 6:47, they scramble through a field of toxic waste and finally seem to lose him. 6:58, the trek is grueling. They pass big dead sea creatures and piles of plastic trash. Ben is fading fast from dehydration. Julia realizes their water bottle is empty because Cassie didn't close it right. A huge fight breaks out as the stress boils over. They eventually find a crashed plane and huddle inside for the night. Julia finds a photo of the family in Tom's jacket and shares the story of how they met. In the middle of the night, Cassie steps out to pee and the creepy man grabs her. Julia flies out of the plane like a woman possessed, stabbing the guy to death in a fit of rage. Cassie has to pull her mom off the body. The next morning, they see the body covered in fleas and realize something is lurking nearby. As they leave, a swarm of crabs crawls out of the man's mouth. Gross. 8:10. Later, a desperate Ben tries to drink from a random pond, but Julia stops him. The water is likely toxic. 8:15. The sun is brutal. Ben gets dizzy, so the girls build a makeshift shelter out of old chairs they find. 8:33. Julia wakes up to a clicking sound. She looks out and sees a literal sea of crabs heading their way. 8:41. They run for their lives toward a massive cargo ship. They find 3 survivors, but the men lock themselves in a container, leaving the family outside. 8:55. Julia shoves the kids to the top of the container just as the crabs start shredding her legs. The kids pull her up just in time. The crabs crawl into the container through a hole and move in for the kill, wiping out the crew members inside. 9:19. Julia bandages her leg and passes out. She wakes up alone in a sandstorm, panicking until she finds the kids. 9:36. They find a container to hide in. Julia has to use Tom's lighter to cauterize her own wounds. It's absolutely brutal. Once the storm clears, they find water and a radio. Julia calls Now, who tells her he's been attacked by arthropods from the abyss, driven mad by the oxygen. Now warns them the water is coming back sooner than expected. He fires a flare to show them the way. They finally spot the submarine, but there's a massive rock formation in the way. As they climb, a rock slide happens. Julia pushes the kids to safety but gets trapped on the other side of a wall of stone. She screams at the kids to keep going without her. After a heartbreaking argument, Cassie drags Ben toward the sub. They find Now outside the sub, but he's bleeding out. He tells them it's over for him and to take the sub themselves. Seeing there's now an extra seat, Cassie runs back for her mom. Julia is currently fighting off the crab swarm with a gun. She's almost overwhelmed when Cassie appears at the top of the wall and pulls her up. They sprint to the sub. Ben covers them from the roof, shooting at the crabs while they climb in. The crabs descend on Nal's body. Julia fires the last of her bullets, tosses the gun, and dives inside. They lock the hatch just as the crabs swarm the windows. Then the ocean hits. The submarine is tossed around like a toy. Julia has flashes of her life as Cassie loses her lunch. That high-pitched noise returns, knocking them all unconscious. Later, they wake up and realize they made it. They open the hatch and see the submarine has been washed into a destroyed city. There's a long road ahead, but they're alive and ready to rebuild. Don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Thanks for watching.